Hey, left, right, out. I've been kind of sick the last week or so, and not what you think it is. It was some kind of crud that's been passed around, and then it turned into an ear infection from one ear, and then an ear infection to the other ear, and now it's still kind of in my lungs a little bit, but not too bad. So a lot of things have transpired. The Rittenhouse verdict literally just happened. I don't know, an hour ago, and you can see on the kid's. Or he's a man now, but you can see on his face the visible. He was shaking as they were reading it off, shedding a tear, and then almost he couldn't stand up. He had to sit down. He was about to collapse. You could see the sense of relief. You can see the emotion in him, and a genuine emotion. Like at that moment, I can see. I can tell just by looking at him, his soul, pretty much, like what kind of person he is, and I think he's a fine young man for what not. In fact, you don't want to kill anybody. Let me tell you, killing people, or it's not murder because it's justified even legally now, but even killing somebody that's a bad person, it affects the human psyche. So he's gonna have to live with this. Nobody talks about it, but he has to live with this for the rest of his life. I know guys that have killed some of the worst people in the world, and those faces still come through their mind, and they still struggle with the mental aspect of it, because it is a human being. These are human beings, but when it comes to, if it's between you and them, then it's gonna be them more than likely, right? And in this case, if they're chasing you and trying to kill you, then it's justified. But either way, you've dispatched two individuals with questionable histories to begin with, but that's neither here nor there, because we're talking about the end of the action there. They were attempting to, one, kill him. Another one that got his bicep obliterated was literally getting ready to dispatch Kyle himself with a Glock, with a sidearm. We'll just call it a sidearm. And I don't know what to say, man, but he's going to have to deal with that. But here's the other thing. So I don't know how many people are talking about this. I hope he sues the bejesus off of the media and becomes another Sandman. Him and Sandman, the left-wing media, has created two of the richest kids or young men in the country, just inadvertently, or by their misreporting. I mean, they've lied. MSNBC ought to be sued. When they found that producer trying to trail the jury bus, that is unbelievable. People inadvertently taking pictures of the jury. We know that this is a powder keg. Why would you do that? Like, they really want something to pop off. It's like, I guess if it bleeds, it leads, it's a mentality that we used to always make fun of, but that's the way it is now. And to the point where you just make up stuff or lie, or just pretty much, I don't know. It baffles me, the mainstream media, whether it be Fox, or Fox is probably the best of the bunch, but everybody takes little slants and just runs with it, instead of just, at least you can have a bias, but at least have some objective facts when it comes to this stuff. But then portraying the victims, or the assailants that were dispatched, as heroes of some sort, when we know that one of them was a pedophile, to say the least. And another one had done some weird stuff to his girlfriend, and also I guess did something to his younger brother. And then another one, I get them all mixed up, and I know the one that had his bicep obliterated. He wasn't even supposed to be having a firearm. I mean, that's debatable or whatever, but nobody questions why he had his sidearm there. Nobody questions why they were there. Why? And another one is, people are trying to make this a race issue. It's like, well, all these guys that were taken out, they were white, questionable at best. If I was Black Lives Matter, I wouldn't want to be associated with these type of individuals. And I doubt that the African Americans that were there, they even realized that there was a pedophile there, because they don't stand up for that stuff, just like anybody else, just like in any other race or ethnicity. I mean, that's one of the biggest universal bugaboos around the world, besides if you go to certain places like Afghanistan. But for the most part, it's that's frowned upon, even in prisons. I mean, I don't know how that guy made it out, but anyway. So good for him. I'm still kind of in awe that finally, we have a little bit of faith in the justice system is back. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, and it's hard to, this shouldn't even been a case. I mean, it's so blatant that it was self-defense. In fact, if it would have went the other way, you would have pretty much green-lighted, or you would wonder, as the average citizen, when can I defend myself? If I defend myself here or there or in my home or whatever, am I going to be put on trial? Am I going to have to go through all this and have my name slandered across the, where's that line? So this is a clear, definitive win for everyone. I mean, it's sad you don't want anybody to die. I know those are bad. Those people had checkered past, but you don't wish ill on anybody, but you also don't want them to, do that to anybody else. But this is a classic case of self-defense, in my opinion. Now let's go on to something else. The markets. The markets are, still in their slumber, if you ask me. People are losing their minds over a 250-point drop in the Dow, which is nothing. Like, these aren't corrections. These are nothing. The market's just been flat. And it just keeps going up and grinding up and record high, even though there's bad news all over the place. I mean, it's incredible inflation numbers. We know what has to happen. We see things, the bill that's being passed through the I think it got passed through the House today. I mean, these are unilateral, these are grabs by the federal government. These are taking over capital markets, taking over aspects of the economy. These aren't good things. Inflation data, look at possible lockdowns in Europe and some lockdowns that are going on in Austria. You could look all around. There's just signs where normally, it was a convoluted market even in the early 2000s, but even then, these little cases, these little data blips would cause at least a pullback of some sort, and we already would have had probably a correction. I mean, this is the fact that you trace back the 10-year moves, the moves in the 10-year, and just look at how astronomical, like how the deviation is now, like how the 10-year moves, and we don't even seem to mention it. There's a vague mention where moves like this, 20 years ago, would have sent chills in the people. It's incredible what we've been normalized to, and the fact that we don't really have a free market, we have a controlled fascistic type economy, and this market is definitely manipulated beyond measure. Now, those actors are manipulated. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of private money in there. There is, because people, you've seen easy buck, or they're being signaled to go into the market. In fact, with all this low interest, you can look at the real rate or interest rate. I mean, people are flying red flags now with the real rates. If you look at real rates, it's incredible. Real rates are extremely negative with the inflation data. But if you look at that, I mean, it's a false signal that there's excess savings, which, I guess there's excess money printing, and this money's going all over the place. I mean, whatever bubble pops. I mean, I don't know what pin, somebody drops a pin somewhere. I don't know what bubble it's going to pop in. I don't know when that thing is going to move to the next one. But usually these things happen like in the housing. You can imagine what happened to the housing market happened. You have any kind of bond or debt markets. One of those is going to pop, and it's going to be absolutely catastrophe. It could be a currency market. I don't know. One of these is going to lead to a currency crisis because in the dollar, but right now, just trying to weed the waters out because things are moving around. Now you look at oil. Oil's $70 a barrel. It's crashed a little bit. I won't even call it a crash. This is what you call a pullback in oil. It's not a crash. It's a pullback over the lockdowns. It's still going higher. Let me tell you this. I mean, there's too much bad news out there. Too much loose money flopping around. It doesn't even matter. You can bring a bunch of stuff online, but there's just too much going on. The oil seems to be an indicator of how the markets are moving, and right now, oil is an exacerbated move towards the downside, which is dragging down the market a little bit. But when it roars up, it seems like that money flows in there. Anyway, that's just thoughts. I don't know, but we look at, be prepared. If you can get into certain assets, gold, silver. Even the market itself, because in an inflationary environment, like as we've seen, the market itself is a good inflationary hedge. But you don't want to, you want to be kind of underweight that, just in the fact that at any given time when you have these huge moves up, a little pin could pop this thing and it can go down, or you might actually have a real correction once people start realizing that, hey, there's no way out. We're in a corner and the Fed has no way out. They're gonna prick something, one of the bubbles, and that's the only way out of this, or they're gonna let inflation or their money printing destroy us all in an epic proportions. So we'll see what happens. Either way, there's pain ahead, and a lot of us are oblivious to it. So, man, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of disconnections in the market, whether it be labor markets, whether it be goods market, natural resource markets, the commodities. I don't see where there's a real market anywhere besides maybe crypto, and even that's starting to be where you have institutions coming in there and manipulating that as well. But you see the government chattering about it, how they're afraid of crypto. I don't know, if they take over crypto, it's really a good way to be able to turn people or to really track people. But I don't know what's going on. This is craziness. This is the most unstable I've ever seen in this country, and we have no idea. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here because I am still under the weather a little bit, but I didn't want to go too long without posting something. But I'll talk to you later. Bye.